सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। सदाशिवा समारम्भाम् शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्ताम् वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। वासुदेवेन्द्रयोगीन्द्रम् नत्वा ज्ञानप्रदं गुरुम् मुमुक्षूणां हितार्थाय तत्त्वबोधोऽभिधीयते। Need a share screen. So we completed the first chapter, you could say, where we talked about the Sham Adi Shatak Sampatti, and we are now in Atma Tattva Viveka, which opens with Tattva Viveka Kaha. And the answer to that is a Mahavakya, Atma Satya Tadanyat Sarva Mithya Iti. Atma Satya Tad Anyat Sarva Mithya Iti. The word mithya is often misunderstood, misquoted, misdirected. I have seen it being used as a bad word. I have seen it being used as an accusation. I've seen it thrown around as an insult. It's very sad when that happens. I personally myself did not understand what the word mithya was for the longest time. It's important. One of the most important words that you want to redefine and reabsorb in the study of Vedanta is mithya. Maya and mithya, I won't use them interchangeably. Right now, I will just define mithya. Sometimes people do. I'm not a big fan of using words interchangeably. They have their own roots, they have their own stories. So I'll just use the word mithya for now. When it comes to the topic of mithya, some people understand it to be illusion, things that are not there, but are assumed to be there. Sometimes people translate mithya like that. But in Vedanta, mithya has a very specific meaning. In Vedanta, mithya means something that depends on something else for its definition, for its existence, and for its essence. When something depends on something else for its definition, for its existence, then that thing becomes mithya, and the thing that it depends on becomes satya. That's the definition that we will use for the word mithya. So, for example, if you hold in your hand a flower, any flower that you can imagine, you're holding a rose in your hand. with its green stem and its beautiful red rose petals. Inside it are other parts of the flower. And you say that I'm holding the rose, but you're holding the stem. You're not holding the rose, you're holding the stem. In fact, when I try to define rose, I end up needing to define colors. I end up needing to define stem. I end up needing to define petals. I end up needing to define texture. I end up needing to define smell. By the time I'm said and done, I have forgotten what the word rose stood for. When I was holding the rose in my hand, I was actually holding a stem in my hand. From the perspective of the stem, the petals, the stamen, all of that, the rose is mithya. If I pluck off one petal from the rose, is it still the rose? The answer is yes. Then what is the petal? When I take, for example, a shirt or a piece of paper, and I start looking at what it is that I'm referring to as the word paper, I need other things to define what paper is. It's made up of some fibers that have resulted from some wood, which has resulted from some tree, which came about from some seed. As I start looking at anything, it starts falling apart right in front of my eyes. With reference to something else, it is mithya. Tattva Vivekah Kah. Atma Satya Tad Anyat Sarva Mithya Iti. So all Mahavakya, it's the entire Vedanta rolled into one sentence. It says that when you look at it carefully, what you will find is that everything is mithya. Sarva mithya iti. Sarva, everything is mithya. The entire Jagat is mithya. The question becomes, okay, but what do they all depend on? And the answer is that they all depend on Atma. Which brings us immediately to the question, oh, this is very interesting. What is this thing that does not depend on anything else for its existence, for its definition? Atma kaha? And the answer is Satchidananda Swarupaha Sat Atma. In the next verse, you've got Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatiriktah Panchakoshatitah San Avasthatraya Sakshi Sat Chit Ananda Swarupah Sat Yastishtati Sa. We talked about this last time. There are some definitions which are negative on what it is not. Whatever is mithya is not Atma. And what is mithya? It depends on something else for its existence, for its definition. What doesn't depend on anything else for its existence? The answer is existence itself does not depend on anything else for being understood. What does that even mean? Everything that is in your cognition is revealed. Revealed by your mind, revealed by your intelligence, uncovered with the help of words. Everything that is in your cognition. What is in your cognition? Everything. Is there anything that is not in your cognition? Sure enough, I'm sure that there is another galaxy out there somewhere that is not in my cognition. But when I want to talk about it, when I encounter it, it will be in my cognition. It has to be. I cannot talk about something that is not in my cognition because I'm not going to be talking about it. It does not yet manifest in my antakarna, in my inner instrument. So everything that appears in my cognition is revealed. Revealed by what? It is revealed by thoughts, perceptions, mental events with attributes, forms, even the things that are formless. Even the things that are formless take the form of thought in my mind. And that's how I know them. Electromagnetic radiation. There's nothing to see, everything to see, and nothing to see. At the same time, everything you see is electromagnetic radiation, and yet you don't see all of it. And if you think about it, it is in your cognition and not in your cognition at the same time. It is in the perceptible band. It's a very, very, very small, narrow portion of EMR. And then everything else is all there in your cognition. Everything appears in your cognition and has to be revealed by your mind. With the exception of you. What kind of you? Not your body. That is, of course, cognized. Not your mind, which is, of course, cognized. Not your intelligence, which is, of course, cognized. Not your joy, not your sorrow, not your experiences. All of those are events appearing in your antakarana. Then what? The one who knows all of these, not by their attributes, but the one who is aware of what is going on. The one in whose awareness all of this cognition is occurring. The one who doesn't need to be revealed. Have you ever had to ask yourself, am I here? Even if you are lost and you're asking yourself, where am I? You're never asking yourself, am I? Am I? Am I existing? Now you may question whether you are awake. You may question whether you are alive, but you will never question whether you are. That is always revealed. It never becomes an object in your cognition. It is not one that is illuminated by any thought. It is not one that is illuminated by any perception. It's the one that knows. The one that knows that it is. I am here. The here is irrelevant. The here can be anywhere, it doesn't matter, or nowhere for that matter. But I am, it's always revealed. And after it, everything else is revealed. Everything else, as though, borrows its sat from Atma. Everything else borrows its intelligence, thoughts from Atma, Chit. And everything else has its attributes that are limited because they are attributes that exist within that Atma. So Atma kaha Satchidananda Swarupa. As you look at the essence of everything, anything, the most important person that you need to look at the essence of is yourself. And the essence of yourself is the individual without the name, without the form, without the intelligence, without the thoughts, without the emotions, without the perceptions, someone who's always there in all the three states, whether you are awake, whether you are dreaming, or whether you are in a state of deep sleep. Always there. It's the constant substratum of you. And it is a witness, aware of everything it saw in the waking state. Aware of everything it saw, it's actually the awareness that is pervading through the state of dreaming. And it is also the awareness that is present while the mind is dissolved in the state of deep sleep. Avasthatraya Sakshi. It is the one that was always there. When you were awake, you had a different name, a different body, a different form, a different set of thoughts. When you were dreaming, you had a different name, different forms, different set of thoughts. Altogether, completely everything changed. But it was there as the awareness that was pervading the dream world. Avasthatraya Sakshi, Satchidananda Swarupa. It is not Sthula Sharira, not the Sukshma Sharira, not the Karan Sharira. It is other than all of those forms. It is beyond the Panchakoshas, because those are all mithya. The Annamaya Kosha, or the body, relies on something else for its existence. The Pranamaya Kosha relies on something else for its existence. And so on. So Atma Kaha, Sthula Sukshma Karana Sharirat Vyatirekta. It is not those. Panchakosha Tita, it is beyond the Panchakoshas. San Avastha Traya Sakshi, it is the one that is the awareness pervading all the three states of human beings' consciousness. Satchidananda Swarupa, it is the one that is revealing existence itself, awareness itself, and the attributes thereof. Sanyastishtati sa. Atma Satya Anyat Sarva Mithya iti. That is Tattva Viveka. Viveka, the ability to discriminate, understand with clarity what it is, but more importantly, what it is not. Tattva, the twa of tat, of that, the essence of that, which you see all around you, the ability to discriminate between what is satyam and what is mithya. That is Tattva Viveka.
Professor, I have a question. So, in terms of Sakshi, we also read it in Viveka Chudamani of the self-evident also. So whenever we introspect about the Sakshi, even when we kind of think about the Sakshi, it is always limited to the experiences of the Jiva. So what is that? So what is limiting us in our understanding or in our observation of our own Sakshi, which still feels as like as a Sakshi from a Jiva perspective?
Yeah,
So
the simple question is, why am I not a Sakshi of your experiences? I am a Sakshi of my experiences, fair enough, that's good.
Right.
Why does my witnessing not extend to your mind? That's the
not really. So because I can answer that by saying that the experiences is a product of the mind. So the the mind is not connected in that sense. That's why the experience is not connected. But even when we ourselves introspect about the Sakshi that is there in all these three states, it's always, I mean, at least for me, it feels at the Jiva level. Because uh, maybe why I feel it is at the Jiva level could be because my experience is not extending there. But maybe it's just that.
Yeah, no, I understand the other side of your question as well. The other part of your question is, what exactly were you introspecting when you were introspecting Sakshi? And what was the tool that was brought to bear? And who was introspecting what? And in whose awareness was it all steeped? Because we take the word Sakshi or the word witness and we have some thought in our mind. And we try to understand what that means. Fair enough. Absolutely, we should do that. No, nothing wrong with that. But that process of thinking and that process of discovery is actually steeped with the Satchidananda Atma. And the one that you have conjured up, like you're describing, is a jiva level understanding of the words. Fair enough. And that's why it stays beyond words and beyond cognition as an object. But it is always present as the one in whose presence that entire mental exercise was taking place, without it becoming tainted, disturbed, or changed by it. It is immutable. It is absolutely unchangeable. It's always there, and it's always the same. So when I think about great thoughts, from here I can sit down and start thinking about the nature of the solar system. I can start thinking about the nature of supernovas. I can start thinking about the nature of the stars, galaxies. I can start thinking about all those things, but they are all in my cognition when they appear. Whether I'm thinking about the Sakshi in my cognition or not, it's the same. Whatever I am thinking is in my cognition. Fair enough. Which means it has attributes, it has adjectives, sizes, forms, shapes, formless though it may be, it has attributes. Revealed it is by my mind and my intelligence, right, wrong, or otherwise. I can think about things that are true and I can think about things that are false, and they will both be in my cognition. I can think about the horns on a rabbit, which are not there, and they will be just as mithya as the rabbit in my head. And Atma kaha, Atma sat, tat anyat sarva mithya. It is the one in whose presence everything is revealed. Everything is borrowing its existence sat. And it is itself self-revealing because it reveals everything else. Everything else requires to be revealed, but it does not. It is existence itself. If you can close your eyes and imagine for a second that you do not exist. As an exercise, if you imagine for a second, you close your eyes and you imagine you do not exist, that imagination will borrow its existence from Atma. And it will be a cognition in your mind. Right, wrong, or otherwise, imaginary, true, false, doesn't matter. It is all borrowing its existence from Sat, which doesn't ever need to be revealed that it is. What it is, it says, I have no attributes, but I am in a awareful existence that is always present. Present in the ocean, present in the planet, present in the solar system, present in the universe, present in all the galaxies. Tell me, What do I meditate on to get closer to this Satchidananda? Anything and everything. And yet, the grandiosity of that meditation is the presence of that Ishvara. Everything as big, I mean, you got to get a sense of scale of how big we are talking about the universe. And yet, it is referred to as Atma because it's equally present here in this instant revealed to you. The gratitude that comes from that realization is the presence of Ishvara in our life. From that presence of Ishvara, everything else follows. Shama, Dhamma, Uparama, Titiksha, Shraddha, and Samadhana. Yes, they are all there. They are all important. But once Ishvara comes and sits in the middle, they all become second nature to the jiva. Because somebody of tremendous presence has now appeared and revealed that everything that you ever imagined, thought, unthought, things that you may have seen, things that you may not have seen, are all me. Without Ishvara, there is no me. All right. I think that's a good place to pause because next we'll get into more definitions, Sthula Sharira Kim, Sukshma Sharira Kim, and so on. So we'll go through those faster because we've covered them in detail before. All right. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. All right. Have a great day. Enjoy the weekend.